Hey there, Teresa with Painted Relaxations coming to you guys today to give you our next edition of Pumpkins, Periodical Provocations, and Inspirations. Today we're going to have this cute little kitty. Look how cute he is. Cat fur on him. It says, give your best today and you won't regret tomorrow. So we are going to work with some watercolor that I've got mixed up. This is watercolor that was out of a tube that I've already added water to it. We've got some purple and some teal. And then I've got on my palette here, we've got some gouache that is a metallic black, metallic white, metallics. Actually, they're all metallics. So black, white, silver, teal, purple, and pink. Gouache is like a mix between, somewhere between watercolor and acrylic paint. So it's a lot of fun to work with. Let me grab my glue right over here and we are ready to go. So I am going to probably tape this page down. So let me take my flexible cutting mat. Pumpkin keeps trying to drink the watercolor paint. I don't know why. I just don't know. And let me find the end to my painter's tape. There it is. Get it started again. All right. So let's go ahead and just tape down our page. This will also create a little border for us. I'm not going to make it too big just because we're working with a small page to begin with. So we don't need it too small. Go ahead and tape top and bottom down. Don't overthink it, okay? If it's not perfectly straight, don't worry about it. If they're not perfectly even, don't worry about it. We're just taping down our page because we are using watercolor today and I don't want to have it going everywhere. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting good contact, so I'm running my finger along my tape after I get it on there. And I'm going to do one more right here on the side. I know this one doesn't tape it down to the board, but it does keep it from going through all my little holes where it is connected to my pad. So same thing, I'm just going right along, making sure my tape has good contact going on there. And now we are going to jump in. So I've got a couple of brushes here and I am going to start, actually, you know what? I don't have clean water on my table, so I'm just going to give this a spritz. And I'm going to take a bigger brush and I'm going to do wet on wet today. So I'm just going to spread this around. That was just the quickest way to get my water on there. There we go. I don't want it to be super watery, puddling up or anything. I just want it to have a little bit of a sheen to it. And now I can take my watercolor, and if Pumpkin was not in the frame, you guys could see better. Actually, let me move this down just a little bit. There we go. And as you can see, wherever I drop in that watercolor, because I wet my paper first, it's going to start to spread out and bloom. So these right up here aren't blooming quite as much. So what I'm going to do is just pick up a little bit of water and I'm going to add it to those areas to encourage that bloom. Rinse that brush and we're going to pick up some of our teal and just drop that in as well. And this is going to encourage our colors to start to blend. And I just keep dropping that in. We're going to bring in some more of that purple Going right up to those edges with this. And I just want my colors to blend together. So I'm not worrying about where everything is. I just am having fun putting it on there. Now my paper is not watercolor paper, so it is kind of buckling quite a bit. That's another reason why I taped it down, because I knew this one would have some issues with the amount of water I'm using today. But we're going to dry it with the heat tool here in just a second, and that will keep everything happy. We're just using quite a bit of water with the wet on wet technique. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back into my purple. I didn't even rinse my brush this time. Oh, Pumpkin, are you tapping out on me? Pumpkin's leaving. All right, Pumpkin, we'll see you later. And I'm just bringing in some more of that purple where it can be a little bit darker in a few places. Okay, let's rinse that brush. And I'm going to use my heat tool, so it's going to be loud for just a few minutes while I dry my page. My paint is going to move around quite a bit, and while I'm doing this, I can see I've got some pretty good puddles. So I'm just going to take my rag and I'm going to dab up those puddles. And this is also going to give me some texture and some variation in color. So it's going to take away my wettest spots, but it's also going to add to the look of my color. And I just keep moving that around to get it nice and dry. I don't want to hold it in one spot too long because it will start to burn the paper, so make sure you keep moving it. You could just let it dry. However, because of time, I just want to dry it with the heat tool this time. We are almost there. Again, because it's a nice thin paper, it doesn't take very long to dry either. Okay, go ahead and turn that off. And we are good and dry. All right, so now we're going to decide kind of where we're going to place our kitty. I think we're going to go right down in here. So what I want to do is I do want to go ahead and take my tape off. So I'm going to stay at a 45-degree angle to my paper. I'm going to just pull it straight down, and that should help avoid tearing the paper. Stay nice and close to it, 45-degree angle. And then this one's overlapping, so I'm going to go right into the next one. There we go. And last one right up here. Again, 45-degree angle, nice and close to the paper. And there we go. All right, I'm going to leave that in there because we're still going to be painting and whatnot, but I want to get my little kitty on there first before we add our next step. And I'm actually going to overlap that kitty into some of my background. So let's go ahead and put some glue on the back of this card. I am using just a clear craft glue because this is a card. It's a little bit heavier, so I like the way the craft bond, this is Elmer's craft bond, works on the heavier, the heaviness of the card, I guess you could say. I'm going to put this little kitty right down here, and I'm just going to hold it in place for just a second. And now I'm going to move my watercolors to the side, and we're going to switch to the gouache. As I mentioned, gouache is like a mix kind of in between watercolor and acrylic. It is still water-based. You can water it down and use it similar to watercolor. Today we're going to leave it kind of in between. I'm going to use a round brush. This is a number 6, and I've got some pink here. I'm going to add a little extra water to it because I do want it to flow quite well. And because our kitty is on pink, we're going to do some little pink flowers right up in here. And these are going to be like kind of like Black-Eyed Susans. So we're just going to do a set of petals coming down. Maybe another one right here. And we'll do one that's going up, like it's opening up right up here. Maybe another little bud right here, like it's about to open. Another one right up in here. Okay, so that's our pink flowers. Got a cat fur right there. Make that one a little bit bigger. Okay. And I'm not even going to rinse that pink off. I'm going to go straight into my purple, but I do need a little more water in that purple. So these, you can mix the colors together. I'm going to do another one that's maybe a little bit smaller, not quite as big as those first ones, with the two colors right there. And then I'm going to pick up more purple and do another one down here. I'm not too worried about the separation of my petals right now, because we're going to come back in with some black pen and add even more definition to our flowers, okay? Let's do a purple bud right up here. And maybe one more kind of right up here at the top. Okay, I've got an odd number of flowers, so I'm happy with that. I don't know why. I just always work with odd numbers. It's just kind of where my mind goes. Usually in nature, you find odd numbers as well. I'm going into this kind of tealish green. And for the flowers that are facing up, that are just blooming, I'm going to give them little bases. Okay, and then I'm also going to create a few leaves, maybe some stems coming down here. Have some of these where they're going behind the card. Just kind of filling in some of that space, bringing those stems in. If they run behind the flowers, just run it right on back behind. All right, so we've got some stems, we've got a few leaves. Now I'm going to rinse that, and I'm going to go into this metallic black, and I'm going to add some little centers. Two of these that are facing, that are completely open, I'm just going to tap in some of this black. I had it pretty wet right at first, so I'm kind of drying off my brush, soaking up some of that water so that it dries faster. Okay, so we've got our centers there. We've got our leaves, we've got our flowers. Now we want to go ahead and we're going to go in with the heat tool one more time, just to make sure they're dry. If we go in with wet paint with our pen, then it can ruin the pen. So we want to make sure this is good and dry. There we go. And now I've got my set of graphic illustration pens that we're going to use. I'm going to go with, you know what, I'm not going to go with the brush. I'm going to go with a 0.7. And these are just a very small tip pen. And I'm just going to give these guys kind of a sketchy outline. Bring in some dots and some little details into the petals. And just adding fun little details, guys. Don't overthink it. We're having a kind of a sketchy look here. And that will give us some fun flowers. All right. Hopefully everybody remembered to move their clocks or set their clocks forward an hour. I know we get so reliant on our phones doing it automatically. Sometimes you forget to do things like the microwave. And then tomorrow morning you're going to be in a panic because you're getting ready for work and you see the time on the microwave and you're like, oh no. All right, so there's my little outlines. Now I'm also going to come in and just add around the page this kind of wavy line border. And I'm actually going to do it twice so that it adds to that sketchy look as well. And I'm also going to go around the card, the kitty card, to give it a little bit of a frame too. And now we've given it a little bit of dimension. And look at that. There's our happy kitty with pretty flowers. All right, guys. Hey. I hope you have a fabulous week and enjoyed this little moment of pumpkins, provocations, and inspirations. And give your best today and you won't regret tomorrow. All right, guys. Have a fabulous week. Thanks for watching.